All right, so describe what subliminal persuasion is. Do you think it is ethical for companies or organizations to include subliminal messages within their advertisements and media? There we go. I'll give you some time to work on this. Brittany, current event for Friday. Am I right? Okay, sounds good. So no Kiara today. No Haley. No Christian. That's it. What's up? Are you finished? Yes. All right, go ahead. Everybody done? Okay, all right. So what is subliminal persuasion? What does that mean? What does that mean? What do we got here? Hadley, go ahead. Thank you. Okay, good job. Good job. So this is stimulus that's projected to us that we maybe perceive unconsciously. So within our conscious thought, within our perception at the moment, we might not recognize. But unconsciously, which we'll talk about the unconscious mind here soon. I guess we mentioned a little bit with Freud, right? The unconscious mind with the iceberg method. deep underwater, right? Raven, you got that? Okay, thank you. So with the unconscious mind, we're receiving this stimulation and we're understanding exactly what we're receiving. Really? He wants my charger.
Yes.
So it's going to charge him.
How much?
$5 to use my charger.
He doesn't know if he can do that deal.
All right, here you go. That's fine. Talk about it. Oh my gosh. What is up with this? How do you tell him that if you guys forget to do your homework, let it slide, right? Because he forgot his charger.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like that deal.
Tell him to be more responsible. Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, yeah. So subliminal persuasion used a lot in ads, okay, commercials for marketing for businesses to help maybe send a message to help customers buy their products and maybe motivate them to buy their products. And we went over a few yesterday in class that I thought were interesting, especially when you can maybe save a little bit of money. We talked about James Beccari yesterday too. Who was he? Why is he so important? He's a famous what? Marketer in the 1950s. And what was he trying to emulate? What was he trying to simulate with his subliminal persuasion? Go ahead, Katie. Yeah, the movie theater, right? Yeah, good job. So he's trying to promote people to buy these products like popcorn, like Coca-Cola. And what would he do? Yeah, throughout the advertisement, right? Before the movie really started, the commercials, and he would flash an image saying, buy Coca-Cola, buy popcorn. And what happened? Yeah, the sales increased, right? And he thought, well, this works. Okay. And the unconscious mind is driving people to purchase these items when in all reality, they might not recognize it. They might not be able to say that they perceived the image or even noticed it, but unconsciously, this is driving them to buy these products. Again, they try to replicate this later down the years with college students and memory tapes and with self-esteem tapes. And they prove that, you know what, maybe this doesn't really have an effect on people. But the thought of it, right, the belief that maybe subliminal persuasion unconsciously drives people to make certain decisions or rational thinking is something to maybe talk about, right? Something to maybe discuss. What else do we talk about? Backmasking, right? So we talked about backmasking yesterday with famous song, right? Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin. You like that song, Raven?
Yeah.
You listening to it on your your iPad, the MP3, YouTube download? Really? No? Oh, are you in the Christmas mood now? Your dad's playlist. You don't? Oh, I actually want to hear his playlist sometime. Well, I think I might have a similar taste in music. But anyway, these messages may be being sent. I thought that was something interesting yesterday as we heard it first without the lyrics, without the words. We're like, I don't know. I maybe heard Satan every now and then, but after you apply words to it, you know what? Maybe you can pick up on some of this, the details, like the backmasking. They actually interviewed Led Zeppelin then after this, when people were picking up on this, and they're like, "No, this is ridiculous, right? You guys are thinking way too far into this. Right? This is something that obviously isn't true." But anyway, people still believe it today. Okay. So I want to see your advertisements that you maybe looked up. The assignment from yesterday, or maybe it was entertainment logos or sports logos, whatever it might be. So do you guys have the logos? Yeah. Okay. Good. I like to maybe project it on the screen and work away around the room here and see what type of subliminal messages or persuasion you saw in entertainment or any type of advertisements. So we'll do that right now. We'll start over here. Andrew, you have yours finished up?
Yeah.
Okay. You know how to project to the screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this should be coming up here soon. Can't wait to see this.
Wait.
110.
Yeah, I don't have that coming up as an option.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe search it again. No deal yet.
Yeah.
Anybody else have it? They have me worried. All right, Hallie, you want to start over here? You have it? Okay, good. Oh, you just got it now. How convenient, huh? How convenient. Well, are you up? Wow, look at you. Okay, go ahead. You might as well go ahead.
So 3 ones that I found was Toggle, and it's the bear in the mountain, and then Jordan, which is bear in the mountain at the top, was Wien in Switzerland.
Oh, bear. Okay, all right, all right.
And the next one I did was Amazon, and then it's an online shopping website, and since they have a large array of items, which is why their logo has the arrow from going from A to Z.
Look at that. Every product A to Z. It looks like a smiley face too, kind of. I don't know, maybe.
And then
All right,
the next
Brittany.
one I did was FedEx, and then there's a small arrow between the E and the X, and the arrow supposedly stands for speed, accuracy, strive for perfection, and perseverance.
Oh, and hey, you're going in the right direction. Oh, man, there you go. There you go. Cool. Good job. Raven, you have yours finished up?
Yep.
All right, cool. I guess we'll work our way this way. Andrew, you go last since you got me on that one.
The only different one that I had was I had this Pepsi ad, and it was released over Halloween. And with Pepsi, it said, "We wish you a scary Halloween," and it's trying to show that Coke is like the monster that people are dressing up for Halloween, and Pepsi is the one underneath. And Coke then took the same image and added the caption, "Everyone wants to be a hero," saying that Coke is the hero Pepsi is aspiring to be.
Oh,
Really people to buy their products, and then I had Amazon that.
okay. Do you remember that one, that commercial live? Do you remember seeing that?
No.
I remember seeing that one. That was pretty cool. Yeah. Look at that. Good job, Raven. So you had Amazon and FedEx too. Okay. Hallie, go ahead. Oh, okay. You have a different one now then.
Yeah. So
Beats by
if you
Dre.
look at it, like the B and B in the logo, it's like the actual like headphone and something different. They have it.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So I guess that's just to, oh, here, this is like
Nice. Beats by Dre. Cool. Cool. Awesome. Good job. Katie, you had all the same ones too. All right. Okay. Well, we'll move on then. Madison. Oh, here's Toyota. Okay. Wow. I never noticed that. That's something new. Good job. Nice job, Madison. Chick-fil-A. So that's what the A stands for. I know they have commercials like, what's the A stand for? It makes sense now. All right, Brady, go ahead. You didn't do it, dude. Oh, do you watch a video lesson?
No.
Wow. Okay. All right, Allison, go ahead.
Some people claim that the yellow inside the bell looks like a reptile eye and the eye of horns. In addition, religious concept
What does that mean?
that so that someone's watching you, basically. It's like really Illuminati.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I also did And then I found this one of Atlantis, the movie. Some people claim to see a KKK letters on the submarine, and also claim some can see.
Oh my gosh, you and the Illuminati here. No, I'm just joking. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So some of these cartoons, oh man, I don't know if you maybe looked into some of these subliminal messages in there. It's a little crazy. All right. Good job, Allison. Are you up now, Caleb? Okay. Let's see it.
So this one is really
Oh,
this one,
Toyota.
and then this one, elementary box.
Nice. A lot of people say with the religious meaning behind it, maybe with the fish, Jesus is, okay. All right. Good, good. I've seen that one before. That's a good one. Brittany, you already went. Andrew? Let's see it, buddy.
Okay, so for my first one, I did the International Harvester logo.
Oh, yeah.
When they first came out with that, that was like back in the 1950s, that logo. Before that, when they had one before it, when they were still building the Reapers, but when they went to the tractors, they remade the logo into that. And if you have to look, when you look at it, if you think about it, it's like you're looking at the back or the front of a tractor. The H is the back tires,
I see it.
and the I is a person sitting on the tractor.
Okay. All right. I see it. I see it.
So for my second logo, I did the BMW logo because back in World War II, they were building airplanes and engines for airplanes. And so white quarters are supposed to be the propellers on the airplane, and the blue quarters is supposed to be the sky.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And for the Mercedes-Benz logo, they went with the trident there because the TriStar, because they have dominant racing teams on land and on their boat racing team, and they were building airplane engines
Wow.
at one point.
That's good to know. Cool. Awesome. Good job. All right, Noah. You have yours finished?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're supposed to put pictures.
I mean, it'd be nice. Which ones did you do?
I did the scooter one, and I probably had the scooter one, and I did the purple one too.
All right. Do you have the pictures? All right. Hurry up. Gotta get moving here. We're gonna talk about the anatomy of the eye. Good job, Andrew. That was good. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That you guys are sharing. And then other one was this one with Coca-Cola and Pepsi. And this one with Pepsi made an ad for Halloween with them wrapped in the Coca-Cola cake. And then saying about how it was scary, but then Coca-Cola came out in the same exact picture, and it says that for Halloween everybody wants to be heroes. So that's why it's really fast.
Yeah.
And the last one is that's hidden in the schools.
Oh my gosh. Jeez. All right. Okay. Yeah, like we mentioned the other day, unfortunately, we all know it's sex sells, right? And any hidden messages, subliminal messages, maybe we'll get you talking about it, right? Yeah. They had a really bad commercial during the Super Bowl like 3 years ago. Oh, it was crazy. Hopefully you guys don't ever see that one. That was bad.
Which one is it? Which one?
Don't worry about it. Okay, moving on here. Moving on here. So I had terms for you today. Yeah, let me put them up for you so you have them. And then I'm going to just go through the notes today with these terms. All right. I'm gonna zoom in and move down, man. Let me get to it. Because there's so many. Okay. I will move down then for you guys. You got vision, photoreceptors, rods, cones, the retina. We'll get through some other ones today. How about you guys just write them down and you can define them when I'm going through the lesson, or you can define them on your own afterwards, okay? So I'm gonna get through it. Running low on time here. So let me know when you have retina. I'll move down. Good? Perfect. Phobia, optic nerve. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, yep. Blind spot. Which ones do you miss?
Like all of them.
What were you doing?
Writing a definition for vision.
Oh, I'll go back up after this. How about you just write these terms down, and then you have them. Then you can define them on your own. Sound good? Okay, I'll go back up once everybody has them written down. Nope, we're good then after that. We'll talk about the visual cortex. Maybe tomorrow. Talk about color blindness. You good? Okay, here you go, Brittany. Where are you at here? Yep. Yep. All right, so as we got finished up talking about sensory adaptation, we're talking about signal detection theory, we're talking about just noticeable difference. All right, I think it's important to understand with transduction how this all works. Okay, so first, they all transduce stimulus energy into neural impulses. Okay, we talked about the neuron. We talked about how neurons fire and how they receive information from other neurons. Okay, and how this information is being taken, received to the brain, to be perceived, to being sent to the rest of the body to maybe react to a certain stimulus. Second, they all are more sensitive to change than to constant stimulation. So again, if you're being stimulated constantly, right, eventually you'll have an adaptation to that, right? You will adapt to that stimulation, okay? So a sensory adaptation. Like we mentioned before with certain examples, as you're sitting on the seat, at first you might feel uncomfortable until you find the right spot to adapt to sitting in the seat. Or maybe there's a constant noise, right? If there's a constant noise, all right, obviously with the air conditioner back here, you already probably forgot about it. So maybe I brought it back up. You adapt to that stimulation. Third, they all provide us with information about the environment we're in. So again, how we obviously stay safe in that environment. If there's certain stimulations that might act as a danger, we obviously will try to adapt to it. We will understand and know that there's a difference in the environment depending on the stimulation in the room or the environment we're in. All right, so again, how our senses are alike, transduction, right? How we perceive the information, how we adapt to that information, okay, that stimulus. And obviously gives us a little bit of information by the way we are perceiving the environment we're in. Again, our brain doesn't interact with the outside world. We do it through frame, we do it through sensations, and we perceive that within our brain. We talked about the lobes of the brain already. and where this information is being understood and maybe where it's being stored. Right, Noah? Yeah. So how are our senses different? Well, with the exception of pain, all senses taps a different form of stimulus, and each sends the information and gathers to different parts of the brain. So the motor cortex, right? The sensory cortex, even though they're very close together behind the frontal lobe and between the parietal lobe. We all know with vision, where does that go to? Where do we perceive visual stimulation? What lobe of the brain? Kaylin? Occipital lobe, right? And that's in the back of the brain, right? What about auditory processing? Where is that being perceived? Where is that being perceived? What lobe of the brain? Hadley? Temporal lobe. Yep, good job. Good work. So again, yeah, this is obviously where this is being perceived, where this information is being understood. Is it located at different parts of the brain? We know that through different forms of technology that help us understand where this is being perceived, right? Where the sensation is being understood within the brain. We talked about fMRIs, we talked about MRIs, we talked about EEGs. Obviously, they can't really locate it. We just know that there's neural impulses occurring. And we talked a little bit about CT scans. All right, this is just kind of like, oh, you hear the bell, see the bell. Obviously, when you see the bell, you know what type of sound it makes. And just because we understand this type of stimulation, we know exactly what sound it will make, right? And just by looking at it. All right, so vision, real quick. I want to talk about vision today, the anatomy of the eye, and how we perceive vision. All right, so first things first, let me just erase here. Let's talk about the parts of the eyeball itself. So there's three different layers. There's three different layers. The first layer, when you say layers of the eye, the first layer is the sclera. The sclera is the white portion of your eye. Okay, this is obviously gaining the. This is showing the. I guess you say the formation of the eye. Okay, and how it obviously looks and how it is formed, and also the muscles attached to the sclera, which allows for eye movement. Okay, so that's one thing to know about the sclera. So this is the white part of your eye. This is the formation of the eye itself, a spherical look, and muscles attached to it to allow for eye movement. Second layer is the choroid. The choroid. So the choroid contains the blood vessels, right? This is right inside of the sclera. So with any type of physical activity or lack of oxygen, let's say, you might actually see some of the blood vessels appear through the sclera, depending on what activity you're getting involved in. Maybe it's a lack of oxygen coming to the brain. Maybe it is really just waking up in the morning. Obviously, that causes a lot of time where you might see some blood vessels appear. Or if you take damage to your eye, right? Maybe you get poked in the eye. Obviously, you might tear up. You might see these blood vessels actually appear through your eye. Depending on how severe it is, you might get a red spot. That's really severe, obviously, with blood vessels appearing through the sclera. The choroid is where the blood vessels are located. Inner layer, so the innermost layer of the eye, is the retina. So the inner layer of the eye, the retina, this contains the photoreceptors, which we're going to talk about today. So photoreceptors receives this neural information, this neural messages, and sends this to the auditory or the optic nerve. So the optic nerve is going to send that where? What part of the brain? Caitlin, you said it earlier. Occipital lobe. Good job. So photoreceptors, we'll talk about two in particular, rods and cones. Cones, think about it, sensitive to color. Rods, more focused on dark, different types of shapes. So again, make sure you guys remember the layers of the eye. Sclera, the outermost layer, is where the muscles attach and just the formation of the eye itself. Choroid, it's the the middle layer. Okay, the middle layer, which the blood vessels are located. Like I mentioned, you get poked in the eye or you're doing an extreme activity, intense activity, you might actually see some of these blood vessels appear through the sclera. Then you have the retina. The retina is the innermost layer of the eye. Okay, this is where the photoreceptors are located. And you can kind of see it here actually on this picture. The sclera, outer, retina, inner, and then choroid is that middle layer. You guys good? Okay. So how the eye works? Well, we'll talk. Light, okay, travels through the cornea. So the cornea is really this sheet that is on the outside of the sclera. Okay, your pupil, your iris are located inside of the cornea. So as light's being traveled through the cornea, it's going to be bent and refracted by the iris. So the iris is really just a muscle fiber. Okay, obviously that shows color of the eye, but it also bends light rays. Depending on how bright that light is, the iris might contract, okay, or it might expand, depending on how bright that light simulation is. So as the light travels through the cornea, the iris will bend that light, okay, depending on how bright it is. And we all know the iris is where the color of the eye is located. The pupil, obviously, is inside the iris. Okay, right behind the pupil, that's where the light is going to be really, really focused on, and the pupil is going to send this light to the lens. The lens is like a magnifying glass in a way, right? The lens is going to send this light ray to the back of your eye. Okay, and what is the inner layer of the eye? What is that called again? The what? The retina. Yeah, good job. And with the retina, what's focused there is photoreceptors. And with these photoreceptors, they're mostly focused here at the fovea. Right? So the fovea is the most dense location of the retina that contains photoreceptors, rods and cones. So again, as light is traveling through the cornea, is refracted, it's bent by the iris, depending on how bright that light is. The pupil takes in this light, bounces it to the lens. The lens refracts it like a magnifying glass in a way, and sends it back to the retina. The retina is obviously where the photoreceptors are located. And for the most part, this light is traveled to the fovea. The fovea is where this most dense location of photoreceptors are located. So you guys good with that here? So remember, cornea, okay, iris, pupil, lens, the retina, fovea is where these photoreceptors are mostly densely located. From there, with the fovea, you have 3 different steps here. Like I mentioned, you have rods, you have cones. We'll talk about that here in the next slide with photoreceptors. One, light enters the eye, triggers photochemical reaction in rods and cones at the back of the retina, mostly located where the fovea is, where most of these photoreceptors are located. 2, chemical reaction in turn activates bipolar cells. So these bipolar cells are sending this neural information through really what we know as transduction, right? Eventually, we'll get to that. But this is sending a neural impulse, a neural message to bipolar cells that activate the ganglion cells, the axons. We all know what an axon is, which converge to form of the optic nerve. So the optic nerve is located pretty much right below the fovea. Right? One thing to note, are there any photoreceptors here at the optic nerve? No, there isn't. And we'll talk about this tomorrow. They call it the blind spot. So if light ever gets refracted through the lens, obviously projected to the optic nerve, well, there's no photoreceptors there. And you can't visualize it. You can't see it. Much like when you're driving. Obviously, when you're looking through your mirrors, you might have a blind spot. You might not actually be able to perceive what's coming in the other lane. Or if a deer runs it. I'm just joking. But anyway, it's important to know with the optic nerve, there's no photoreceptors located there. But this information, neural impulses are being collected obviously by the photoreceptors, sending it, okay, obviously to the retina. And this is going to send it to the optic nerve. The optic nerve is going to send these neural messages, this neural impulse, through transduction to what? What lobe again, Caitlin? You're on a roll with this. Occipital lobe. Okay, so again, light is being refracted onto the retina. The fovea is obviously that part of the retina where the photoreceptors are located, most dense location. And as this information is being picked up, neural impulses are being sent from these photoreceptors, these ganglion cells, to the optic nerve. Okay, and as these neural impulses are sent to the optic nerve, it is later going to be perceived connected to the occipital lobe. And that's when transduction is going to occur, where we're going to perceive what we're visualizing. And this all happens with really milliseconds, right? We're perceiving vision within milliseconds. We'll talk about the visual cortex more tomorrow and how these images are going to be actually flipped upside down. Everything we're visualizing actually is upside down. And how we're perceiving it, obviously, we're going to project it right side up to our occipital lobe. Okay, last thing here. I'm done. So photoreceptors, I already talked about it a little bit. Light sensitive cells, neurons in the retina that convert light energy into neural energy. So rods sensitive to dim light, not color. So there's a lot of cases when you wake up in the morning, you're a little bit sensitive to bright light, right? You're kind of squinting, you're trying to see kind of the things around you, obviously, but you actually can focus a little bit more and see in the dark a little bit better when you first wake up, because your rods are more activated at that moment, at that time, to dim light. Cones sensitive to color, okay? And as you obviously see the light more often in the morning when you first wake up, you're more sensitive to these colors. You'll be able to see it. You won't have to squint when the light's obviously being projected in your face. That's a good example, obviously. All right, any questions? I know I went through a lot there. I don't have time for you, but I'll just do it tomorrow. How about that? And we'll go over in class. Okay. So no homework tonight. Don't worry about it.